Alright, got my cup of tea here. Some nice, what is it called, Twillings or something like that. Twinnings green tea with, what's it called? Jasmine green tea. Good stuff. Makes you go to the bathroom. Anyway, so had some bad luck yesterday with my trusty Fuji SL 2.5. Went for a jump that I typically will do without any kind of issue, and for some reason, somehow, my rear derailleur, got caught up in the spokes, and the back wheel locked up, and it ripped the derailleur off of the bike, broke the hanger. I think it bent the front derailleur. It doesn't look very good. And so I haven't actually taken a look yet at the bike. This was yesterday night on my way home from work. I do carry tools with me and things like zip ties and stuff like that. So rather than call my girlfriend and have her come pick me up, I just fashioned something. I just got some zip ties here and put all this carnage right onto the, what is this? It's not a seat stay, chain stay. And was able to actually just use my bike as a scooter to get home. So I haven't actually taken a look yet at what the situation with this is. When I got home, I actually took the front fork off of my other Fuji bike and switched them out because I needed to use another bike so that I could do my all of ITP rides the next morning, and I didn't want to sacrifice having a disc brake. And so this is a Fuji Altamira, which is the bike that came before the Fuji SL. They're basically the same bike in terms of like geometry, and a lot of the specs are the same. The Fuji, this one, is the disc version, so it's more modern. This was from like 2015, so this one's a bit older, and it has some configurations that are a little bit more particular to the era that it's from. But I wanted to have the disc brake on this bike. I don't really ever want to ride rim brakes if I can help it. So switch those forks out. Thankfully the bearings are the same size. That was a pretty easy process. I really should patent this little converter that I keep using in situations like this. It's a little bit dark over here, but basically, so I can actually get some light on this. I quickly put this fork on here, and let's see, maybe so. I didn't want to have to take any of the cabling out from the shifters, so I just fashioned a second piece of brake cable housing, which is being joined together here by two metal ferrules, I guess. And so I was able, this is the original housing and ferrule. Man, this light sucks. That will work with the Fuji fork that I swapped out. So I can swap these easily back and forth now without having to rerun any new cable or anything like that, or housing. Didn't have to unwrap the bars, didn't have to do anything like that. So that was pretty great. That's something that I was pretty happy with. If I had to have a situation that was not 100% great, I'm glad that I was able to retain some of the elements from the Fuji SL that I didn't want to do without. And so this bike has a rear caliper, rim brake, and then a front disc brake. So pretty interesting setup. This bike is super light compared to the SL. SL is definitely markedly more heavy. And so I've been thinking about this all day. In fact, maybe I could get some of that light on this again. Let's see if I can get this off. It did break the jockey wheels. I think both of them. Let's see. Yeah, is it the jockey wheel? Is it even there anymore? Man, this is so fucked up and bent. Yeah, I don't think this is repairable. I don't think bending this would work. Such a bummer too, because I really liked having this cassette, the 11/36 cassette with the 46 chainring in the front. And I was actually thinking about it today. This bike could actually be set up as a 1x pretty well, and I'm actually considering that if I'm going to have to... oh, and you know what? As I think about all this, so I have a bunch of bike stuff, obviously. Most bike people do. I have like drawers and drawers of components all separated by like what they are. So, you know, this top drawer is actually just like electronics and stuff like that. Cables and iPhone screens and iPhone batteries. The second one is drivetrain components. So, got like crank arms, old cassettes, chain rings, more cassettes. I guess, do I have, how many derailleurs do I have in here? I haven't even really checked. I don't think the front, so I do have a front derailleur from the Tiagra, but that's a braze-on. That fucker. Damn it. So, yeah, I think I do have a 1x chainring, a race face in here. And I think it's 110 BCD, if I'm correct. Where does it say? Compelling footage, I'm sure. I'm gonna keep this out because I might consider setting that up by as a 1x, and I'm excited at the thought of that. I'll keep going through these drawers real quick, and then we'll get to the exciting part. Pedals, old mini pumps, aero bars, toe straps, kind of miscellaneous stuff. Cabling. So we got gear cabling, housing, you know, nothing like brand new, but odds and ends that can be used for emergencies like last night. And then the brake drawer, bunch of rotors, those shitty ass fucking pieces of garbage TRP calipers that I've got way too many of now. And the bottom drawer doesn't really actually have any bike stuff necessarily, it's just miscellaneous. I think there's like a bike bag in there and shit like that. Definitely going to keep this out as a possible 1x solution for this bike, because when you have this 46 11x36, I was finding that I really didn't need to shift into the small chainring. I didn't really do any climbing per se. I wasn't doing anything mountainous, but as like a touring gear setup, it seemed to work pretty well. So rather than having to buy a brand new derailleur, it'd be a quicker solution to just make it 1x. And I have that 1x chainring, so I might even do that tonight because I have this mountain bike over here. Maybe I should just turn this light off. I just added some mood lighting to this room, some little ball lights, to kind of bring a little bit more light to the corners. But so I have this bike, and it's a mountain bike. You can't really see it through all these tires, but it has a Dior rear derailleur with a clutch on it, which would be really good for a 1x setup. And I'm not using this bike, and that's 10-speed Dior. So potentially, this is the great part about having all these extra parts and everything, potentially I can actually fix this bike without having to buy anything new. And the 1x setup particularly intrigues me. The only thing I'm already, well, actually no, I have these chainring bolts that are for a 1x setup, so that might be a separate video. This is a this is a funny setup. Race face chainring with a Sora crank. Yeah, all those fuckers love seeing that shit, I guarantee you. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and take all of these pieces off, pause the video briefly, and then come back with them on this table, and then we can sort of take a look at what the status of them is. I really think everything here, with the exception of, I guess, maybe the chain, is pretty much done for, but we'll have a better idea of that once it's been removed. I don't know how out of true this wheel is, too. It's pretty sad because Yeah, it's definitely got pretty fucked up. I do have extra spokes, although I don't know if the spokes necessarily need to be replaced. That's another thing I need to take a look at. Oh, that's a bend right there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and remove some of these bits and bobs, and we'll come back and we'll take a look.